Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of TCG Talk, back today with another video, and another video that's going to be like half deck tech, half more just like general thoughts on Katsu. Going into the Everfest meta, Katsu is getting some new cards. Kind of the short, kind of my opinion is I'm not super impressed with some of the cards that he got on the ninja side. I'm more actually impressed with some of the generics that he got that he can use at his disposal, but we're going to talk about those. Talk about ones that you should use, shouldn't use, things of that nature, and just kind of give you my thoughts. This deck is going to be in progress. It's when you see it in the link down below, like I may update it slightly as Everfest goes on, but this is something where you can kind of get a general idea of where I think Katsu is going and kind of, maybe where you have a good starting point for your own decks. For me, I think as meta-wise, right, if we can take 1 minute really quick meta-wise, I think Katsu's actually in a better spot than he was at the end of Tails. I think with the Briar Errata and the Briar bands or Briar targeted bands, I think he now can race Briar with some of these new cards, even though Briar got a couple new cards of her own. I think he's better at racing Briar now than he was before. She can't value block as much as she could. Really, I think Katsu has a bunch of good matchups. I think his only bad matchup right now is Oldheim and then Guardian specifically, which is going to be a heavy portion of the meta. But he does really well in the Prism, and he can, if played properly, compile it against a good aggro deck. So I think Katsu's in a better spot in the meta than people think he is. I just think he's so abysmal against Guardian that it really like turns people off. But you got to find a way around those matchups. As we're getting into the deck for this, I just want to kind of give a note that, again, this is a work in progress, so please give suggestions however you want. For the equipment suite, similar as before, breaking skills, I'm going to use, I played around with Glide Gauntlet before, but breaking skills is just too good for that break point, and defends for 1, which is really nice. For the boots, I think Snapdragon Skillers is no longer the main boot piece for Katsu. I think it's Breeze Rider boots. I always thought the Breeze Rider boots had a play even in aggro Katsu, and again, this is an aggro based build for anyone who's wondering. Maybe a little mid rangey, but more clean aggro. Breeze Rider boots has, in my opinion, a higher ceiling than Snapdragon Scalers. Snapdragon Scalers can be used again on snatches. It can be used on a single combo piece to kind of get something off or something like that. Maybe a line that your opponent doesn't know you have. But personally, I like Breeze Rider boots. I know your attack has to hit, and that can be a little bit annoying, but this deck has so many combo cards that you're basically always threatening that go again. And once you pop Breeze Rider boots, you can do so much with it. I mean, I've seen people hit 8-9 chains easy with a Breeze Rider boot combo because they ended up triggering mass because their opponent couldn't fully block them out. And they just kept triggering because every combo had go again. So I think that Breeze Rider boots is probably the boots you want to use personally over Snapdragon, but you can test both if you want. It's just what I'm doing. For chest piece, I always use Heart and Cross Strap over Tunic. Some of these, you definitely have a Tunic. If you have a Tunic, definitely use it. I would use Heart and Cross Strap when you're not playing Oldheim. If you're playing the Oldheim matchup, maybe use Tunic because it's going to go fatigue or close to fatigue, and you definitely want more of those value resources. But if you're using an aggro or even a mid-range matchup, I would definitely use Heart and Cross Strap so you can get that Surging Strike off for free. And then we're using Mass Momentum, obviously. In the sideboard, we're running a full Null Rune suite. Well, not full. I keep Mass Momentum or Snapdragon or Breeze Rider boots, depending on which one you want. We're running 3 pieces of Null Rune so you can do the Kano matchup because you're going to have to respect Kano a little bit more with some of the newer cards you got. So getting into the deck, right, we have around 40 attack actions-ish. Normally, I played in prior aggro Katsu builds, I would run 13 non-attack actions, and all my non-attack actions were either pumps or attack reactions. But in this deck, I'm running around 15 to 18 non-attack reactions, so like pumps or attack reactions. And I'm doing that because I want to throw my opponent off a little bit more, make it a little bit more uneasy. They don't know what they're going to block, what they should block, what they shouldn't. And also, some of these non-attack actions that you'll see here in a minute help with card draw. So that's something that's really good with Katsu. I think one way you can beat Oldheim is just have enough gas and enough card draw in order to get over the top and get those combo lines off and really do some damage. So we'll go over the non-attack actions first because it's a little more simpler. We're running 3 Ancestral Empowerments like you see some Katsus do. I'm going to go over the ones that we normally run. Razor Reflex is still in here. Obviously, great card. Most every card in the deck can use it except for Surging Strike. And then my blues, I try to run utility blues. I don't just run 3-block Katsu blues. Like I'm running aggro, so I want to be aggro. So in my blues, I run 3 Captain's Calls at blue. allows most of my cards, if not all of them, except for Surging Strike and a couple of the one costs, to get go again or +2. It also will allow, then I run 2 Lunging Press to kind of use that break point. But Captain's Call is really good for like your Whelming Gust Waves, right? Your Soul Beach Strikes, your Rising Knee Thrust, right? Your 100 Winds, even if you want to give it +2, stuff like that. So it's really useful. And Fluster Fist, it can work on. It doesn't work on every card in the deck, but I want to be able to at least have that opportunity to use it. As far as the new non-attack actions, I'm using even bigger than that. This card is amazing with Kodachis, right? Basically, the wall text says that if you've dealt physical damage this turn, you can play even bigger than that. And then you reveal the top, it's 3 at red, 2 at yellow, and 1 at blue. You opt 3, opt 2, or opt 1, depending on the color. And then you reveal the top card of your deck after you're done opting. And if that card has more physical damage than damage you've dealt this turn, you get to draw a card and create a Quicken token. This card's insane. With Kodachis, you Kodachi for 1. No one ever wants to block that first Kodachi unless it's an Oldheim Crown of Seeds. But most everyone else isn't going to block it. And then you can play even bigger than that. Basically, at red, you're almost near guaranteed to get a attack in hand. And then you get a Quicken token, which you can use on one of your combo cards because it will have Go Again. It's just an amazing card. I would run 3 of these in your main board. This is just a great card. The next non-attack action that I run is Smashing Good Time. Basically, the best way to look at Smashing Good Time is the item thing is really good if you're playing like a Dash or something like that, maybe even Alexi or something like that runs a lot of items. But where you really want to use this is its +3 ability out of Arsenal. This basically is a Nimblism without the con. People used to run Nimblism in their decks, and it gives an attack with cost 1 or less +3. This will give all your attacks +3, so this will work on Surging Strike, right? You can now do Surging Strike for 8 again without having, even with the Plunder Run ban, and it'll be really good for that. So I definitely would run this. It's really good, and it can help destroy items if you need to do that, especially if you're playing like a Dash or something. And then finally, my last non-attack action is Amulet of Assertiveness. I want to run one of these in my deck because basically when an attack hits, it's an attack reaction, and when that attack hits, banish the top card of your deck. If it's an attack action card, you may play it this turn. Activate only if you have 4 more cards in hand. So basically, this can work on Kodachis. It's not an attack action card. It's when this target attack hits. So if you Kodachi for 1, they don't block it. Then you play Amulet of Assertiveness as an attack reaction. Now you just draw the card, hopefully, if it's an attack action card, for free. It's really good with that. I really think it's going to be good. It's basically can be used on 5-card hands. So you're going to have to either have it a draw, or if, that's the only thing about it is that you need 4 cards in hand, which you start with 4 cards in hand. So you want to use it on a 5-card hand. Maybe if you've played something out of Arsenal, or you've gotten resources through something else, then it could be useful for that. But you could use this on a Kodachi if you somehow had 4 cards in hand. That's where it would be most useful. But even if you don't have that, where this could be useful is a card out Arsenal, right? It threatens that card draw. And with this deck, when it has around 40 cards, attack action cards in the deck, you're very highly likely to draw that last card. So I would most likely use this from a card from Arsenal, but a Kodachi if you can somehow swing it and get a couple card draws and be able to do it that way. But now we're getting to attack actions. I won't go too much into this because again, I want you to be able to, this is a work in progress, but we're running the Surging Strike line. I run 3 at red. I don't run the 2 yellows because I just don't like 2 for 4. It's just not very good. You have to pump it in order for it to be good. It's too easy in today's meta to block a 4 attack card, and I don't want to expend 2 resources in order to do it. So I don't run the yellow Surging Strikes. I only run reds. I run 3 Roaming Gust Waves, 2 McGinchys, and 3 Lure Winds. So I run the full McGinchy line. Obviously, we all know how good that one is. And then I run the full leg tap line, 3 red leg taps, 2 Rising Knee Thrusts because I really don't want to see this card unless I'm searching for it. I'll run 1 Hurricane Technique and 1 Blackout Kick. So it's really good. I love searching for Blackout Kick in hand for 7, especially if you pop Breeze Rider Boots. Now it's 7 with Go Again. It's just insane. Really good. Run 3 Enlightened Strikes, obvious card that's pretty staple in Katsu. 3 Fluster Fists, 2 Pounding Gales. These are really good in the mid-range and the aggro builds, especially with Breeze Rider Boots. You're threatening that Go Again, so they kind of have to respect those attacks a little bit more. Whereas if you just had Snapdragon Scalers, because if you pop Breeze Rider Boots and all your attacks that turn there combo get Go Again, so they have to respect that. 12 Torrent Tempo, I run 3 of these. I like Torrent Tempo. Some people run 2, but when you have 3 ancestral empowerments, you have 3 razor reflexes, you have 3 smashing good times, you have 2 lunging presses, you have 3 captain call blue won't work on those, but if you had yellow's captain's calls, if you want to sub those in, something like that, like people have to respect Torrent Tempo. It's a 1 for 5 with potential go again, and with all the tools you have in your deck, this hits more than it doesn't for me. For people that say it doesn't hit, I don't know, maybe they're not sequencing properly, but blocking for 5 sucks. And most of the time when I'm attacking with this card, it's going to hit for 8 with a pump spell. So that's just the way I look at it. I run 3 Soul Beat Strikes as well. Really good card. 1 for 4. And then we're going to get into the new attacks, right? So 100 wins. I like this at red and blue. Right now, for some reason, it says I have 2 blues. What is going on here? We're going to do this on the fly. Okay. So 3 reds and 3 blues. I don't like it at yellow because the only time 100 wins is good off itself, in my opinion, is when you play a red, they let it hit, and then you go search for a red. So now you just hit 2 cards for 7. That's not bad. But really hitting it a yellow and a red together, it's basically just like 2 head chaps. It's really not that big of a deal, right? So I do like it. It's a good card. If anything, it's a head jab, right, with a little bit extra bonus depending on what you have in your hand. And I get it, but overall, I don't think it's as good as anyone thinks it is. I think it's a cool card. Love the artwork. Love the aesthetic of it, but it's definitely a card you can include in your deck, and it's good, but it's not as good as you think. But still going to include in my deck, at least initially. The one card that I love, which is technically an Ira card, and definitely by the way it looks and also the way it plays, it's a Twin Sisters. So basically, this is a leg tap with a bonus. It's a 1 for 4 with go again, and you either pick Twin Sisters gains +1, so it's a 1, or it's a 1 for 3 with go again. You either pick Twin Sisters gains +1, so it's a 1 for 4 with go again, or you say Twin Sisters gains when it hits your next attack gain on the chain gains +1. So I would almost always pick the first option because I'm basically forcing them to have to block it because my next attack's going to get +1. No one wants to block this because they know something else is probably coming. Or you can just give it 1 for 4 with go again. It's just a really dynamic card that can trick your opponent into when to block and when not to block. And it's going to really throw them off balance and not know when the best time to, get in there and block is. I think this card has a lot of utility in a lot of different lines, and it can help you go search for stuff. It can help your opponent have to overblock. It can help, bluff if you think you really don't have anything after that. And maybe they overblock to try to prevent the Katsu tutor and stuff like that. If you do it 1 for 4, all types of stuff. So I really like this card, and I think it's really good. So I'm definitely going to include my deck at least initially. For Winds of Eternity, again, this card is not as good as you think it is. You basically have to pop Breeze Rider Boots for this card to be effective. Yes, it will shuffle 100 wins back into your deck if it hits. So it's going to be hitting for 4 off the combo line, but it doesn't have go again. So unless you have Breeze Rider Boots, you're not going to be able to attack again after this. Basically, this is good in the fatigue matchups. It helps you be able to shuffle attacks back into your deck, which is really good. It'll be decent in the Oldhim matchup. And aggro matchups, I don't want to pop Breeze Rider Boots on this card because I've already used a card from hand. If it wasn't in my hand with 100 wins, I've tutored to go get it. So now I've discarded a card, and now I have to play this card. So I've used 3 cards, right? Or 2 cards from hand and played this card, and now I have to pop Breeze Rider Boots. So maybe I have 2 cards left in hand. It just, again, it sounds really confusing, but it just doesn't seem as useful as you would think. But it's still blue, it's still 0 pitch, so I can pitch for Kodachis, and in a fatigue matchup, I can use it to get attacks back into my deck. So this is what I'm running initially, at least. Like I said, around 40 attacks, around 18 non-attack actions, around 42 attacks-ish, right? I have a little bit over right here. I have 1 over because I wanted to show 1 extra card, this Amulet of Oblation. So in the sideboard, we're running Flick Flacks, really good. I'm running Art of Wars. You could run Command and Conquer in here as well. Remembrance is a good option. Movable is a good option. I only run 2. I don't run 3 because I don't want 3 in my deck. They're so resource intensive. And the crush effects, like if you're getting hit that hard for 3 crush effects, most time you're not going to have an unmovable in your hand every time. So I only run 2. And then Art of War is really good. Amulet of Oblation is one of the newer cards I like a lot. This would be really good into a fatigue matchup. Basically what it does is until the end of turn, target attack action card gains. If this would be put in your graveyard, put it in the bottom of your owner's deck instead. Activate this ability only if a card is near the graveyard this turn. So basically, if this is on that field, you play a non-attack action, it goes in the graveyard after it resolves. Then you destroy Amulet of Oblation, and you're basically able to take cards that would normally go in your graveyard that are attacks maybe, and put them back into your deck. So maybe you have a McGinty line. Maybe you get really lucky and you play Smashing Good Time Out Arsenal. And then you pop Amulet of Oblation, it's already on the field. Then you play Surging Strike and a Whelming Gust Wave. And then you keep going. And then all of a sudden you can put them right back into your deck. Even the leg tap line, you have a leg tap into a Rising Aether, so you can put them right back into your deck. And it allows you to put it on the bottom of your deck, so you're in a way you're pitch stacking pretty much. So I think this would be a great card in aggro matchups against Fatigue, and I'm excited to try it. But yeah, overall, this is the baseline of the deck. If I had to right now, I'm one card over because I want to show you a couple of things, but you could cut maybe one Tornado Tempo. I think that's where most people would probably cut in this deck. The one thing I wanted to add before the end of the video, I didn't want to go too long, but is the Rushing River line. I won't ramble about this because I already made this video one time and I rambled for like 5-6 minutes about it. The basic law is you're going to have to play Tornado Tempo and a Rushing River into Flood of Force into Break Tide. Break Tide's an amazing card. 5 with Dominate for 0 cost is insane. But either you're going to have to pop Breeze Rider Boots or get lucky with what in your hand, right? If you have Tornado Tempo, let's say they let that hit. Let's say you just get lucky and you have Rushing River and Breaking Tide in your hand, which is 3 out of 4 of the pieces. You still got to go search for Flood of Force, right? So you got to discard a card, which is the last card you have available in your hand. Actually, you don't have a card available in here because you pitched to play Tornado Tempo. So if you pitch to play Tornado Tempo and you have Rushing River in your hand with Break Tide, and you pitch to play Tornado Tempo, that's 4 cards. So now you have no cards left in hand. So how are you gonna go? How you gonna pay, or how are you gonna pay the cost of Katsu trigger to go get Flood of Force? So having the full line doesn't really work unless unless Tornado Tempo is in your arsenal. So let's go ahead and nix that possibility. So let's just say you have Rushing River in your hand. Now that's got to hit in order to be able to pop Breeze Rider Boots. So then go Katsu trigger, go get Flood of Force or Break Tide, whichever one you don't have in hand. You got to have at least 2 pieces of the combo line in order to make Break Tide pop off. And then, you go get it. Then on top of that, when Flood of Force is played, you have to flip the top card of your deck, and it has to be a combo card to get that 4 with Go again. Otherwise, it's just a 1 pet attack power card. Not very good, right? And even in this deck, where I'd say about 66% of my cards are combo lines, it's not a guarantee. It's just a lot of what ifs. The only time that line even looks remotely decent is if you play Flood of Force first and no one wants to block a 1 attack card, and then you play Break Tide for 5 Dominate, like you just did 6 damage, right? The line is cool. It has great art. It's amazing aesthetic, but the line, it's similar to the Head Jab Open Center line. It's not worth the resource pool. It's not worth the situationalness of the line. It's just not worth it. So don't use it. I don't understand everybody's obsession with it. I personally can't stand the line as a competitive player, right? I love it as a flesh and blood player, but I can't stand it as a competitive player. So that's just my opinion on it. I won't ramble on it, but yeah, overrated. But this is the Katsu deck. Again, the deck list is going to be linked below, but it's a work in progress. So if you see slight changes, just know that's what I'm doing. I'm not going to completely revamp the deck, but you might see a couple ratio changes. This is just my initial chop at it without actually having the cards in my hand, playing them and stuff like that. But yeah, let me know what you think of the deck. Let me know what you think of Katsu as a whole in the meta. Where would you go with him? What would you change? What are you most excited for, right? Are you just not even going to pick him up? I'm really excited for it. Katsu is my first ever hero I played, and I'm really excited to get going and really seeing what I can do with him. But yeah, hope you all enjoyed the video. If you want, please leave a like, comment, subscribe. If not me, go to another Flesh and Blood creator, do the same thing for them so we can get more people seeing this game. But yeah, I hope you all have a great rest of your week, and I'll see y'all next time on TCG Talk. Thank y'all so much.